Hi, my name is Julie Stich,
And I'm Tatum Godfrey.
and today we're going to be talking about the alligator gar Atrastosius spatula capture techniques. And we're part of the University of Florida IFAS Department of Wildlife Ecology and Conservation.
So, the current problem with capturing alligator gar is finding an effective way to collect a species that is safe for both the alligator gar and the researchers. Current capture methods are effective, but they've been proven to be fatal to the gar in different ways. The objective of this poster is to review the different capture techniques and find the ideal method for successful collection. So, the first method we're going to talk to you about today is active line fishing that includes both rod and reel and jug line. So rod and reel fishing is as the name states, with a rod and a reel. This is an active method of catching fish that requires a fishing rod, reel, bait, and a fisherman. And this method of fishing utilizes the catcher's skill of which bait and line to use, where to cast, and some patience. With the alligator gar specifically, the fisherman needs to be prepared to pull up a monster fish weighing possibly upwards of 100 pounds. Jug line fishing is an active technique as well that utilizes a jug of sorts. It could be like a 2 liter or a milk container, something of that size, some spray paint so that you can easily locate and identify the jug, bait from the area of study, an appropriately sized hook, and a strong line, preferably wire, so that the fish cannot easily be set free if he bites through the line. This method requires that you set the jugs out at a known and marked site and leave them to be checked within the next day. The jug and lines are pulled up with a hook and by the fisherman. It is recommended that they wear gloves due to the sheer size of the fish. So, some pros and cons, or some pros are you get data, and then you also, for rod and reel hooked gar, the chances of the fish surviving are far higher than those caught using jug lines, due to the fact that rod and reel fishing fish are hooked on external features, such as the mouth, and being hooked externally allows the fish to survive far more likely than those who are hooked internally on locations such as the esophagus or the stomach. Jug line hooked gar can be caught in bountiful numbers, and that's depending on how many lines you set out. Some cons are that it's not the safest for the handlers, given that the fish have razor sharp teeth and can be difficult to handle and require appropriate gear. And the mortality of the fish that are caught using jug lines are higher because the fish will opt to swallow the bait and the hook ends up in the stomach or other internal features. Although jug lining fishing is a very effective method of catching alligator gar because it stoops to their depths and allow the fish to be caught, it also grants the fish an opportunity for what looks like a quick and easy meal.
Our next capture technique we're going to talk about is our gill nets. And so gill nets are multi-filament nets that are attached to a PVC pipes and buoys to help the nets float as like a vertical wall in the water. So researchers will place the gill nets into the water, like placing this wall, and the fish will ideally swim into the net and become tangled by their body and gills, and through this become immobilized. The researchers can then wait for an indication that a fish has been caught or wait about 30 minutes. The nets will be slowly drawn into the boat and the fish will be brought aboard. The fish can be physically immobilized and tagged and measured. And once your desired research material has been gathered, the the fish and any other bycatch can be untangled from the net and released back into the water. So some pros about this is your data is gathered. It's very effective in catching alligator gars, as seen in previous studies. The nets, depending on their mesh size, can be selective to specific size gar if desired. And for that, instead of a multi-filament, you'd use a monofilament gill net. And then this can have minimal impact on the alligator gar's survival if conducted correctly. It doesn't take too much time, and if everything's handled well, it shouldn't be too much of a detriment to the alligator gar itself. And this method is not overly strenuous for the researchers either. Besides the initial hauling of the fish onto the boat, it should be fairly easy. Some downsides to this, some cons would be the net requires active involvement due to the fact they cannot be left alone for longer than 30 minutes due to increased bycatch or catch mortality. So in this case, research has been showing that if these nets are left for longer than 30 minutes, the catch mortality increases exponentially. So though it is a seemingly passive technique, it does require to be checked and monitored in very short increments. Bycatch fatalities are fairly avoidable in this, but they do happen due to drowning and stress due to just just circumstances. And removing the gar from the net can be hazardous for both the researcher and the fish itself. So this should be avoided, or this should be done by only a trained professional.
Our last method of capture is going to be bycatch. And bycatch is essentially when the species that is caught is not what the catcher intended to get. Bycatch comes in many different shapes and sizes, whether it be in things such as turtle hoop nets or just a simple rod and reel capture method. And these catches are not always well documented due to the irrelevance of the fishermen, but they can provide data about the species regardless of the intention. Some of the pros is that you get data, even though it's unintentional. And some cons are, or you can also learn a lot about the fish and where it resides. So it can be a very cool experience for the person who accidentally catches the species. And some cons are this non-intentional catching could lead to the catcher being unprepared to deal with a fish of this magnitude. And that could be fatal to the fish if the fisherman is not equipped to release it safely. It also is not well documented, often heard more so in lore about alligator gar being caught in things such as turtle surveys or different other studies.
So before moving forward, we'd like to bring up some additional considerations we had while conducting this project. And so electrofishing was considered as a method for capture and determined to be not feasible. The large amount of electricity would undoubtedly be dangerous for technicians and produce a high amount of bycatch fatalities. The stress upon a fish itself would also be so significant to a point it could likely inhibit its ability to survive afterwards. With these major issues, was agreed upon to not further consider the electrofishing as a viable option for the capture of alligator gar. Also, passive techniques were considered. Unfortunately, due to the fish's elusive behavior and unreliable water quality of their preferred river reservoir habitats, this does not seem like a realistic option. The key factors in our recommendation are the overall safety of the animal and the handler, as well as the increasing catch per attempt. Gill nets offer a more bountiful collection with minimal effort for researchers and collectors if they are properly attended to. If done correctly, this method can have minimal impact on the alligator gar survival. As seen, there are several acceptable methods, notably rod and reel, that can be utilized, but all options considered, we recommend that the use of gill nets due to the reasons stated above.
If you would like to check out our references, those are posted in the bottom right corner of this poster. And if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave a comment in the YouTube section down below. Thank you so much for your time, and we hope you guys enjoyed this presentation.